taught horses from around the world. There were horses from Germany, from South Africa, from Canada, all competing for the title. And when they called when they called me at third, I just was like, I immediately burst into emotion. It was more than I could have ever asked for. It's a dream come true. So that was my biggest accomplishment ever, really.
Congratulations on that. That's an incredible achievement. I think you guys do an excellent job of representing our town, representing everyone from our town, you know, the culture of hard work, passion, and then to come up there and, you know, be top 3 in the world when you have other countries coming in. That's just incredible.
Thank you.
The other people, the people who were in Sydney's class, I mean, I'm sure they might not necessarily, I don't want to say they don't work as hard, because that's not true. Everybody works hard if you're there. But they're not necessarily waking up at 6 in the morning to clean stalls. And they don't have the luxury of having their horses in the backyard and getting to see them every day. And that's where Sydney has a huge advantage, is Sydney's horse and her were locked in together as a team because they were together every day. And that's something that we have as an advantage, is a lot of people don't get to have their horses at home. They board them somewhere and they have them trained by someone, and it's just a blessing that we get to spend as much time as we do with these horses, and it's just amazing.
I can see the level of passion you both have. That's incredible. I'm going to ask, what's the horse's name so that we can celebrate the horse as well?
Her name is Snowboard, and we call her Coco. But each horse has a show name that is announced over the loudspeaker to their ribbon. But each horse also has a barn name generally, which is Coco. For example, this is Walter Way's Silk Tie, but we call him Houston around the barn.
The horse on the end is Idletime's Greatest Kiss, but we call him Chip. And that's Idletime's Mommy's Gone Nuts, but we call her Storm. So the names are supposed to show the horse's breeding. So the father of Houston was Star Material, and the dam, the mother, was Callaway's Finest Silk, and the farm he was raised at was Walter Way Hills. So what they did was Walter Way's, as in Walter Way Hills, Silk Tie, because the mother's name was Callaway's Finest Silk. And our horses that we've bred all have Idletime in the name, because when they announce them, you want them to know where they came from and where they were started. So Chip is Idletime's Greatest Kiss, Idletime is the farm, and the stud was Callaway's Northern Kiss. So the idea is that Idletime's Greatest Kiss, any horse with Kiss in the name, is traced back to Callaway's Northern Kiss, and Idletime is our farm. So that's kind of where it comes from.
That's interesting to know. I think we're getting close to wrapping up here, but is there anything at all that you can think of that you would like the viewers to know that you haven't gone over already?
Why don't you talk about what it looks like getting into the business as a horseman, and people have told you it's not an option.
So a lot of people say that you can't make a living being a horse trainer, and that's 100% not accurate. You can do whatever you want to. It's anybody who's a horseman, generally, they are doing what they love, and it's just, you're doing, if you can make a business out of your passion, you should follow that, and being a horse trainer is the epitome of that. You get to work with these horses every day, but it's also a lot of hard work, and that's, hard work goes into any sport, but the level of the days we have to train and the different...
It's hard on your body.
It's hard on your body.
The difference between this and many other careers is it's such a taxing job, but it's really rewarding to go to shows and show off your work. So.
When we put up that banner at horse shows, it's just an accomplishment to be there, and it's amazing that we get to see the places we get to see, and none of it would be possible without my mom and dad, and my mom teaching me essentially everything I know about horsemanship. And it's amazing that we can, the prime example that I can think of our work is our breeding program. And we produced nice offspring out of that stall right there, and they were born here, and my mom, or my dad and I delivered them, and we raised them. You know, our slogan is bred and raised, and it's, this week so Chip is the first colt I've had a really active role in his training, and so I got to start that horse under the direction of Mom, obviously, and so she showed me everything that has to go into starting a colt, and really let me take the lead with what I thought he was going to need, and so months leading up to now, we've been working on getting him strong and him growing and his muscles growing so he could support a rider. And this week, Sydney and Mom and I broke him to saddle, and so Mom got on him, and just today, this morning, she went around the arena for the first time, and it was an amazing feeling that we made that horse. Nobody else has touched that other than Westovers, and it's just amazing to me.
Sounds like a real sense of pride for
Yeah,
you guys.
it's the epitome of our training and breeding was this morning, and someday he'll make a really nice horse for somebody when we decide to sell him, but until then we're going to enjoy him and make him as nice as he can be. And that's really what I appreciate about the babies or something I really appreciate about the babies that I liked about the whole process was when we get an older show horse in, sometimes we're dealing with somebody else's problems in terms of training. And with a baby, you know, with an older horse, we sometimes have to work them out of bad habits and to get them, so we can put our Idletime Farm stamp on them, so that when somebody sees it, they say, oh, that's a horse owned by Idletime. I think we have a pretty clear image of what a horse by us looks like turned out, and you know, in the show. And so anyway, but with the babies, they don't know any bad habits. So you're working with a blank canvas, and that was amazing. I'm never going to forget that process, and I'm going to use everything I learned moving forward for the next baby and the baby after that. And so that's really. Oh, Sydney, do you want to talk about turning a horse out for a horse show?
Sure.
Sydney is, I would call her.
I'm now a groom for Idletime.
She's really the head
as
groom.
I'm not actually showing anymore, right? I'm not showing anymore.
So Sydney gets the horses ready to show at the horse shows, and also here when we're getting ready to train.
So behind the drapes, there's a lot that goes on that the spectators they don't know. So it's hours and hours of preparation to get one horse out for a 5-minute class, and so some horses. What?
Talk about use Houston as an example with the tails and the
so
brace.
for example, Houston, he has about 5 tails making the appearance that you're going for.
Tail extensions.
So they're basically tail extensions, like you can get for your hair. Just extensions that you put in, and it's an art to making them look natural. And so Smith has really learned how to do that. It takes about an hour to do. And then there's like an hour of grooming, tacking up, and then there's also a lot of time of bathing the horse, getting it all jazzed up a couple hours before, generally like the morning you show. And then it's the right before stuff: grooming, tail, feet.
They wear nail polish, black nail polish, and so all their feet are perfectly shiny and without ridges, and so that's kind of funny. And the tail extensions people find funny but it goes for the look you want a full tail. And so a lot of horses just don't grow a tail, but you can help that with tail switches. And every piece of tack that the horse wears needs to be perfectly cleaned and conditioned. No hay or spit can be on the bridle, and your girth has to be perfectly white. That's the part that holds the saddle on. And if the horse has a white stocking, that has to be perfectly white. And
Everything just has to be pristine.
everything needs to be perfect. And you're really being 5% of the judging is how your horse has turned out. So it's incredibly important that everything is perfect.
Yes.
And I would say all in, it probably takes 3 to 3.5 hours to get a horse ready to show.
Okay, wow, that's a lot of time that goes on behind the scenes.
Yes.
I think, I hope people really appreciate that.
Yes.
I want to thank you both for accepting the invitation to come on the show.
Thank
I'm
you.
really glad that I'm able to, help you guys get the word out about the work that you do. I think people are going to really start appreciating that once we get this out there. And I want to thank you for inviting me here to, this beautiful barn you guys have on your family farm. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
it's been awesome. So thank you guys so much. Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.